No alarms sounded when the object appeared above Earth. No streak of fire across the sky. No violent tear in space. One moment Earth's orbit was empty. The next moment, it wasn't. A massive object drifted silently between the satellites like a dark island in the void. At first, the automated tracking systems assumed it was a glitch, some ghost image produced by radar interference. But then the telescopes turned. And every camera saw the same thing. The object was enormous. Within minutes, observatories across the world confirmed it. The vessel stretched nearly 8 kilometers long, its surface covered in dark metallic plates that looked ancient and scarred. Sections of the hull appeared damaged, as if it had survived battles or impacts that should have torn any ship apart. Yet it was still intact. Still operational. Inside Mission Control, silence filled the room as the images streamed across the main display. Commander Daniel Hayes stood near the center console, staring at the screen. "Tell me that's not what I think it is," he said quietly. One of the analysts adjusted her headset. "We've run the scans 3 times, sir." "And?" She swallowed. "It's a spacecraft." The room erupted into quiet murmurs. Humanity had spent decades scanning the stars for signs of alien life. Radio signals. Atmospheric anomalies. Artificial light. They had never expected the answer to simply appear. "Any transmissions?" Hayes asked. "No signals detected," another technician replied. "No active weapon systems either." "That doesn't mean it doesn't have them," someone muttered. On the display, the vessel slowly rotated, revealing massive structural ridges and strange glowing patterns along its surface. The lights flickered faintly, like a dying heartbeat. "Power levels?" Hayes asked. "Minimal, but not zero." Which meant one thing. The ship wasn't dead. It was sleeping. For the next 48 hours, the vessel remained motionless above Earth. No transmissions. No movement. No threats. But its silence made the entire planet uneasy. Military forces around the world entered high alert. Satellites repositioned themselves for better surveillance. Fighter squadrons waited on standby. Still, the ship did nothing. Finally, the International Command Council reached a decision. Someone had to go inside. A boarding mission was prepared within hours. 3 astronauts would approach the vessel aboard a modified orbital shuttle. Commander Hayes watched from Mission Control as the small craft drifted closer to the alien giant. The scale difference was almost absurd. The human shuttle looked like a tiny insect approaching a sleeping whale. "Boarding team, report status," Hayes said into the microphone. The voice of Lieutenant Mark Reynolds answered from orbit. "Approach stable. We're about 500 meters from the hull." The live camera feed showed the alien surface in incredible detail now. The metal plating was uneven, layered in ways no human engineering would ever design. Strange symbols ran across the surface like glowing scars. "Any activity from the vessel?" Hayes asked. "Negative," Reynolds replied. "It's completely silent." The shuttle slowly circled the ship. Then one of the astronauts spoke again. "Commander, we found something." "What is it?" "A docking port." The camera zoomed toward a massive opening in the ship's hull. The structure surrounding it was enormous, clearly designed for vessels much larger than the human shuttle. But the strange part wasn't the size. The strange part was the door. It was open. Not broken. Not forced. Open. Inside Mission Control, several people exchanged nervous looks. "That means someone opened it," Hayes said quietly. Reynolds hesitated. "Or something." The shuttle cautiously drifted closer. The darkness inside the docking bay swallowed the camera's light. "Atmosphere readings?" Hayes asked. "Thin, but breathable," Reynolds said. "Gravity about half Earth normal." Another astronaut spoke up. "Commander, the interior lights just activated." The video feed suddenly illuminated. Soft blue lights flickered on inside the massive docking chamber. Hayes felt a chill run down his spine. "Did you trigger that?" "Negative," Reynolds said, which meant the ship had done it on its own. "Proceed with caution," Hayes ordered. The astronauts guided their shuttle into the enormous bay. The landing struts touched the metal floor with a quiet clang that echoed through the chamber. For a moment, Nothing happened. Then the astronauts opened the hatch. Their boots hit the alien floor. Boarding confirmed, Reynolds reported. The team stepped forward, scanning the interior with portable lights. The chamber was gigantic, large enough to hold dozens of human spacecraft. Strange machinery lined the walls, most of it dormant. Thick cables ran along the floor like frozen serpents. Everything looked old. Very old. Feels like we just walked into a museum, one astronaut whispered. They moved deeper into the vessel. The corridor beyond the docking bay was tall, far taller than any human architecture would require. The walls were covered in glowing alien symbols that pulsed faintly as the team passed. But there were no bodies. No crew. No movement. Just endless silence. Until suddenly, a burst of static exploded through hidden speakers in the corridor. The astronauts stopped instantly. The sound crackled again. Then a voice spoke. And unmistakably human. Ground control to any surviving personnel, please respond. The three astronauts stared at each other in shock. Because the voice wasn't alien. It was speaking perfect English. And judging by the equipment around them, it had been waiting a very long time for someone to answer. The three astronauts stood frozen in the corridor. For several seconds, none of them spoke. The voice had been clear. Human. Not distorted. Not translated. Not generated by some alien system attempting to mimic Earth languages. It sounded exactly like a transmission from Mission Control. Static crackled through the speakers again. Ground control to Expedition Vessel Atlas. This is repeat transmission number 11,842. If any crew members are alive, please respond. Lieutenant Mark Reynolds slowly turned his helmet toward the others. Did that just say Atlas? Commander Hayes' voice immediately came through their comms from Earth. Boarding team, repeat that. Did you say Atlas? Reynolds swallowed. Yes, sir. The transmission mentioned Expedition Vessel Atlas. Inside Mission Control, several historians and engineers instantly began searching old mission records. Because the name sounded familiar. Very familiar. Back on the alien vessel, the astronauts cautiously continued forward. Signal source, one of them asked. Reynolds checked the scanner attached to his wrist. Coming from deeper inside the ship. Looks like some kind of command deck. Of course it is, the other astronaut muttered nervously. The corridor widened as they moved farther into the vessel. Strange consoles lined the walls, most of them completely dead. Some appeared to belong to entirely different alien species. Different shapes. Different interfaces. Different technologies. Commander, Reynolds said into his radio, this ship doesn't look like it belongs to one civilization. What do you mean? Hayes asked. There are multiple design styles here. Completely different engineering methods. A pause followed. Then Hayes responded slowly. You're saying that ship was built by multiple species? Reynolds looked around the corridor again. That's exactly what I'm saying. They finally reached a massive circular door. Unlike the other systems they had seen, this one was still fully powered. Blue lights traced the edges of the door like veins carrying electricity. The transmission grew louder. Ground control to Atlas, we are still waiting for your response. One astronaut stepped closer to the door. Guess this is it. The door slid open with a long mechanical groan. The astronauts stepped into the chamber beyond. And immediately stopped. The room was enormous, clearly some kind of command center. Alien technology filled most of the space, strange holographic displays flickering weakly in the air. But in the very center of the room stood something that made the astronauts' hearts pound. The console. A very familiar console. It was small compared to the alien machines surrounding it. Simple. Angular. Human. Reynolds slowly approached it. Commander Hayes, you're not going to believe this. What do you see? Hayes asked. Reynolds brushed a layer of dust off the surface of the console. Underneath the dust were faded black letters. For letters. The astronauts stared at it in disbelief. Is that real? One whispered. It's real, Reynolds said quietly. Before anyone could process what they were seeing, the console suddenly flickered to life. Lights blinked across the control panel. Then the speakers crackled again. Ground control to Expedition Vessel Atlas. This is automated message cycle continuing. A holographic screen activated above the console. The image was old and grainy, but unmistakably human. A man wearing an early 21st century flight headset appeared on the screen. He looked exhausted. Atlas crew, if this message reaches you, it means the communication relay finally worked. The astronauts exchanged stunned glances. Commander Hayes' voice cut through their headsets. Team, we found the Atlas mission files. Reynolds felt a cold chill run down his spine. Sir, when was the Atlas mission launched? There was a long pause from mission control. Then Hayes finally answered. 120 years ago. The room fell silent. The man on the holographic recording continued speaking. We lost contact shortly after your jump through the anomaly. At first we believed your ship had been destroyed. The image flickered with static. But then we started receiving strange signals from deep space, signals that looked like fragments of your telemetry. Reynolds stepped closer to the screen. Sir, he whispered into his comms, this recording, it's ancient. Hayes responded quietly. Yes. The Atlas mission disappeared in 2096. The holographic man continued speaking. If you're hearing this message, it means you survived the jump, and you reached somewhere far beyond our galaxy. The astronauts froze. Beyond the galaxy? The recording continued. And if that's true, then you've probably discovered something we feared you might find. The man leaned closer to the camera. His voice dropped. You're not alone out there. The hologram suddenly flickered violently. New images appeared across the alien command room. Star maps. Dozens of them. Each one marked with unfamiliar symbols. Alien civilizations. Alien territories. Alien empires. Reynolds looked around the massive chamber again. Suddenly the strange mixture of technologies made sense. This ship wasn't built by one species. It was built by many. The hologram played its final message. Atlas crew, if you've encountered other civilizations, you must remember your mission. The man paused. His next words sent a chill through every astronaut in the room. Do not let them learn what humanity is capable of. The screen went dark, but the alien ship around them began to wake up. For several seconds after the hologram vanished, no one spoke. The command chamber remained dimly lit, illuminated only by the faint glow of alien consoles scattered around the room. Lieutenant Mark Reynolds slowly exhaled. Okay, someone explain to me what we just saw. Back on Earth, mission control was no longer quiet. Dozens of analysts, historians, and engineers were speaking at once. Old databases were being opened. Archived mission logs were pulled from deep storage systems that hadn't been accessed in decades. Commander Daniel Hayes rubbed his forehead. The Atlas mission, he said slowly, was humanity's first experimental deep space jump project. Reynolds frowned. Deep space jump. A prototype drive, Hayes continued. Designed to create a temporary spatial anomaly, basically a shortcut through space. Like a wormhole? One astronaut asked. Something like that, Hayes replied. Reynolds looked around the massive alien chamber again. Let me guess, he said quietly. It worked. Hayes didn't answer immediately, because the truth was worse. Yes, he finally said. It worked too well. On the alien vessel, one of the astronauts moved toward a nearby console. The machine was clearly not human technology. Its interface consisted of glowing geometric symbols rotating slowly in midair. But as the astronaut approached, the symbols shifted, reorganizing, simplifying, until they formed words the astronauts could understand. English. Well, that's unsettling, the astronaut muttered. Reynolds leaned closer. Looks like some kind of translation system. The screen began displaying archived data. Images, videos, records. Most of them were labeled with the same designation. Atlas Expedition Logs. Reynolds opened the first file. The screen flickered, then displayed an image of a spacecraft. It was small compared to the alien vessel they were standing in, but its design was clearly human. Early deep space exploration technology, thin solar arrays, modular engine pods, reinforced hull plating. The Atlas. A voice recording began playing. Atlas mission log, day 3 after anomaly jump. A man's voice spoke, calm, professional. We've confirmed something extraordinary. The anomaly didn't just move us across the solar system. A pause followed. It moved us outside the Milky Way. Inside mission control, the room went silent again. Reynolds looked at the others. Outside the galaxy, in one jump? Hayes nodded slowly. That's what the anomaly did. The recording continued. At first we believed we were alone in this region of space. But our sensors have started detecting artificial signals. New images appeared on the screen. Alien ships. Alien stations. Alien cities floating in the darkness between stars. The astronauts watched in stunned silence. Humanity had spent centuries searching the universe for intelligent life. But apparently, the first humans to find it had vanished before they could return. Another log opened automatically. Atlas mission log, day 27. The same voice spoke again, but this time there was tension in it. We've made contact with the first alien civilization. Images appeared of strange, insect-like beings standing beside the Atlas crew. They were cautious at first, but curious. They had never encountered humans before. More logs appeared. More species. More civilizations. Different shapes. Different technologies. Different star systems. Reynolds slowly looked around the alien command chamber again. Suddenly everything made sense. This ship, he said quietly, was built by them. By who? Hayes asked. All of them. The logs confirmed it. Over the next several years, the Atlas crew had traveled between dozens of alien civilizations. And everywhere they went, they were studied, observed, tested. At first, the aliens believed humans were weak, primitive. After all, humanity had barely begun exploring its own solar system. But then the testing began. Reynolds opened another file. The screen showed footage from an alien research chamber. One of the Atlas astronauts stood inside a sealed environment while alien scientists observed from behind a barrier. The test conditions changed rapidly. Extreme heat, extreme cold, radiation, low oxygen. The humans survived them all. Reynolds opened another file. Combat training. Alien soldiers sparring with human astronauts. The aliens were larger, stronger, but the humans adapted quickly, learning, improvising, winning. The next log began playing automatically, and the tone had changed completely. Atlas mission log, year 3. The same astronaut's voice spoke again, but this time he sounded worried. Something has changed. The pause. The alien civilizations we've met, they're talking to each other now. More images appeared. Alien leaders gathering. Large meetings. Military ships. They're comparing their research on us, the astronaut continued. And they've all reached the same conclusion. Reynolds felt his stomach tighten. What conclusion? One astronaut whispered. The recording answered. They think humanity is dangerous. Another pause. And now they're discussing something even worse. The astronaut on the recording leaned closer to the camera. They're talking about Earth. Silence filled the alien command room. The next sentence made every human listening feel cold. They believe humanity must be stopped before we spread beyond our homeworld. The command chamber was completely silent after the last recording ended. Lieutenant Mark Reynolds slowly leaned back from the console. So let me get this straight, he said quietly. A group of alien civilizations discovered humanity, studied us, and decided we were too dangerous to exist. Commander Hayes answered from Mission Control. That's what the logs are suggesting. One of the astronauts looked around the enormous chamber again. So where are they now? No one answered. Reynolds turned back to the console and opened the next log file. The recording flickered to life. This time the astronaut on the screen looked far worse than before. His uniform was torn, and dark circles hung under his eyes. The background behind him wasn't the Atlas ship anymore. It looked like the inside of an alien station. Atlas mission log, year 5. He paused, glancing off camera as if someone had just walked into the room. The situation has changed. His voice was tense. The alliance of alien civilizations has made a decision. Reynolds felt a chill before the astronaut even said the next words. They're sending a fleet to Earth. Inside mission control, people stopped typing. The astronaut on the recording continued. They believe humanity is still primitive enough to destroy before we expand into the galaxy. The screen switched to images of alien warships, dozens of them, gathering together in formation around a massive orbital station. Different species, different designs, all united for one purpose. Extinction. Reynolds whispered, they were going to wipe us out. The recording continued. We tried to warn them, the astronaut said. We told them Earth wasn't a threat. He shook his head. They didn't believe us. The screen flickered again, showing the Atlas crew gathered around a table with several alien representatives. They've studied our biology, our history, our adaptability. The astronaut leaned closer to the camera. And that's exactly why they're afraid. Another image appeared. Human soldiers surviving brutal conditions. Humans recovering from injuries that would kill other species. Humans improvising technology faster than alien engineers expected. They believe humanity will dominate the galaxy if we ever reach full technological maturity. Reynolds slowly sat down in one of the alien chairs. So they decided to eliminate us early. Exactly, Hayes replied quietly. The recording continued. But they made one mistake. The astronaut smiled faintly. They underestimated humans. The image switched again. This time it showed the Atlas crew working alongside several alien engineers. Massive construction platforms floated in space. Shipyards. Factories. Weapons systems. They think we're helping them build the invasion fleet, the astronaut said. But that's not what we're doing. The video zoomed out. And for the first time, the enormous ship the astronauts were standing in appeared on screen. Even unfinished, it was gigantic. Larger than any vessel the alien alliance possessed. Reynolds stared at the display. This ship was built by the Atlas crew, Hayes finished. The recording confirmed it. We convinced several species that the invasion fleet needed a command vessel, something capable of coordinating thousands of ships. The astronaut gave a tired grin. So they let us design it. More construction footage appeared. Alien engineers from multiple civilizations working together. Each species contributing technology. Weapons. Shields. Propulsion systems. But the Atlas crew had secretly changed the design. They weren't building a flagship. They were building a trap. The astronaut's voice lowered. This ship is the most powerful vessel ever created. The camera showed massive weapon arrays hidden within the hull. Energy cores large enough to power entire planets. Shield systems far beyond anything Earth possessed. But we're not giving it to them. Reynolds leaned closer to the screen. What happened next? The recording answered. When the invasion fleet gathered for launch, we activated the ship. Images flashed across the screen. Alien warships surrounding the massive vessel. Thousands of them. Then suddenly, a blinding surge of energy erupted from the giant ship. Entire fleets were disabled instantly. Engines shut down. Weapons systems fried. Communication networks collapsed. The astronaut spoke calmly over the chaos. The aliens believed they were preparing to destroy humanity. Another image appeared. Alien ships drifting helplessly through space. But instead, they gave us the greatest weapon in the galaxy. Reynolds whispered, they stole the whole fleet. Not exactly, Hayes said. They stopped it. The recording continued. We couldn't destroy all of them, the astronaut admitted. But we destroyed enough to end the invasion. The screen showed the giant vessel escaping into deep space while the alien alliance collapsed into confusion and conflict. The surviving civilizations turned on each other, the astronaut said. None of them trusted the others anymore. The camera zoomed back to the massive ship. This vessel became a symbol. A warning. The astronaut looked directly into the camera. If anyone in the galaxy ever considers attacking Earth again. He paused. They'll remember what happened to the last fleet. The recording ended. But something else began. All around the command chamber, dormant systems started activating. Lights flickered across alien consoles. Power surged through the massive ship. Reynolds looked up nervously. "Commander Hayes, I think we just turned something on." The entire alien vessel shuddered slightly. Then a deep mechanical voice echoed through the chamber. "Primary systems restored." Reynolds felt his heart skip. Because the ship wasn't dead. It had just been waiting for humans to return. The entire alien vessel trembled as power surged through its ancient systems. Across the command chamber, consoles that had been dark for centuries suddenly lit up with blue and white energy. Holographic displays flickered into existence, projecting enormous star maps across the room. Lieutenant Mark Reynolds stepped back from the console in shock. "Commander Hayes, the whole ship just came online." Inside Mission Control, alarms began flashing across multiple screens. Technicians scrambled to keep up with the incoming data. "We're detecting massive energy output from the vessel," one analyst said. Another turned toward Hayes. "Sir, it's powering up systems we can't even identify." Back on the alien ship, the deep mechanical voice echoed again through hidden speakers. "Human presence confirmed." The astronauts exchanged nervous looks. Reynolds slowly spoke. "Did that ship just recognize us?" Before anyone could respond, the holographic star map expanded across the entire chamber. Hundreds of star systems appeared, far beyond anything humanity had ever explored. Strange symbols marked different regions of space. Alien territories. Ancient battle zones. Collapsed civilizations. The ship's voice spoke again. "Atlas Command vessel awaiting human authorization." Reynolds blinked. "Authorization for what?" The answer came immediately. "Primary mission directive." A section of the star map turned red. Dozens of star systems began flashing. Hayes' voice came through the radio. "We're seeing the same thing from here." Reynolds studied the map. "Commander, I think those are alien civilizations." The ship confirmed it. Known hostile civilizations identified. Another part of the map turned green. Only one system glowed there. The ship's voice continued. "Mission directive, protect human civilization." The astronauts slowly realized what the Atlas crew had built. This wasn't just a warship. It was a guardian. A silent protector watching the stars. Waiting for humanity to grow strong enough to stand among the other civilizations of the galaxy. One astronaut spoke quietly. "So this thing has been sitting above Earth, ready to defend us?" Hayes responded. "It looks that way." But the ship wasn't finished speaking. Another system activated. Large antenna structures unfolded along the massive hull. Transmission arrays. The largest communication system ever constructed. Reynolds looked up at the holographic displays. "Commander, it's preparing to broadcast something." "Broadcast to who?" Hayes asked. The ship answered. "Broadcast to the galaxy." The star map zoomed outward. Far beyond the Milky Way. Far beyond any region humanity had ever studied. Alien civilizations. Hundreds of them. Some advanced. Some primitive. All watching the same regions of space. The ship's voice continued. "Atlas crew final directive." A recording began playing. The voice of the Atlas captain filled the chamber. "If you're hearing this message, it means humanity survived." The astronauts stood still as the ancient voice continued. "When we discovered the alien civilizations, we realized something important." A pause followed. "Most species in the galaxy fear what they don't understand." Images appeared across the displays. Alien fleets gathering. Civilizations rising and collapsing. Wars spreading across star systems. They feared humanity because we were different. Another image appeared. Human explorers standing beside alien scientists. Humans adapting. Learning. Surviving. They feared what we might become. The captain's voice grew calm. But fear doesn't have to lead to destruction. The transmission arrays outside the ship began glowing with power. The captain finished his message. "So we built this ship to send a message to every civilization in the galaxy." Reynolds whispered, "What message?" The ship answered, The massive communication arrays fired. A signal powerful enough to cross entire galaxies surged outward into space. The ship spoke one final sentence. Humanity is not defenseless. The transmission continued spreading through the stars. Humanity is not prey. Inside mission control, the entire world watched the signal leave Earth's orbit. The ship finished the message. Humanity is coming. Silence filled the command chamber. Reynolds looked out through the massive viewing window of the alien vessel. Far below, Earth glowed peacefully in the darkness. For centuries, humanity had believed it was alone. Fragile. Unnoticed by the wider universe. Now the truth was clear. The galaxy already knew about humans. And thanks to the Atlas crew, it had been warned. Somewhere in the distant stars, alien civilizations would soon receive the signal. And when they heard the message, they would remember the ancient fleet that tried to destroy Earth. They would remember the ship that stopped them. And they would understand one terrifying truth. Humanity had already fought its first war among the stars. They wouldn't be fighting alone.